And today we're going to be going over proportional percentages, and I will have this file downloadable for you so you can see the steps and you can have them to print out to possibly put in your journal or do whatever you'd like to do with it. However, just please know that this is my own content. So do not copy or use it for any other purposes rather than educational at this point. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in today. We're dealing with proportional percentages. And what we're starting out with is we're starting out with a formula. Okay. And in our formula, we have percent over 100 equals a part over a whole. We are the point of this formula is to be looking for either the percent, the part, or the whole. Okay. And in order to use this formula, you have to know some information. Okay. So, what we're going to do is for step one, we need to figure out what part of the formula is missing, and that is what we are solving for, and that is where we will put for x. So in each problem, we're going to be solving for x, okay? If we're looking for the percent, x will go here. If we're looking for the part, x will go here. And if we're looking for the whole, x will go here, okay? And then we will plug in all the other information that we know into the correct spots before we start working on our problem. Okay, so let's take an example one. It says 24 is what percent of 30? Okay, my key word right here is what percent. That means I need to know we are looking for the percentage. So because we are looking for the percentages and it's asking you what percent, we are going to put X in the percent spot of the formula. Okay? The 100 will always be the same no matter what problem we're dealing with. So here we go. Down here in step one, I am going to put X over 100. The reason why is because we're looking for the percent right here. And we're going to be solving for x. Okay? All right. So what do we do with the other part of the formula? You need to think back to what you know about fractions. Okay? And fractions is a part of a whole. It is a part of a whole. Okay? For example, I may have 3 pieces of pizza out of 6 pieces of pizza, out of a whole pizza. Maybe that whole pizza is in 6 slices, but I only have 3 out of that total of 6. So remember, the whole is the total, okay? And the part is the actual amount that we have, okay, out of that total. Okay, so when I'm looking for the part in the whole, I like looking for the keyword is and the keyword of. The keyword is will identify the part, and the keyword of will identify the whole. Now, obviously, some questions may be worded a little bit differently, but as a general rule, you can look for those keywords to be able to identify that. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at example 1. We know we're looking for our percentages here, okay, but it says 24 is what percent of 30? So I know we're talking about the fraction 24 is out of the whole of 30, okay? I connected this word of to be a part of our whole, and this word is connects our part. Okay, so we have 24 out of 30 is how I like to word it. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so now that I have my formula set up, hopefully you can see this. Okay, I have 24 out of 30 and I have x over 100. We are solving for x over here. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So your first step is to figure out what part is missing. We know the percent is missing. Okay, and then we're going to set up the formula using x. Here's our part, and here's our whole. Okay, so this is why we have it set up this way. Okay, so let me go ahead and erase all this stuff here. And we set up the problem looking for x. Okay, so step 2, I'm going to go ahead and color code this so you can understand where I'm at in the problem. Okay, so here we go. Step 2 is to cross multiply now and to set up the equation. Okay, you can reduce if you want first, but usually I just like to go ahead and cross multiply. So here we go. 100, we're going to do times 24. Okay, 24 times 1 is 24, and then we have 2 zeros. So 24 times 100 equals, okay, 24,000 right there. Okay, so that's our first part. Then we're going to put our equal sign here. And then we're going to cross multiply 30 times x. How do we write that? Just the way I said it. 30. Remember when two numbers are right next to each other. Sorry, my pen isn't working. 30x. Okay, 30x. So now our equation is set up. We have 2400 equals 30x. 30x. Okay, so here we go. So now that we've done step 1, again, step 1 is just merely setting up the formula, plugging in all the parts, the wholes, and plugging in x for whatever we're solving for. Okay, and then step 2 is to cross multiply and set up the equation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take my 2400 equals 30x down here into step 3. Okay, step 3 is let's isolate x, okay, and reduce if possible. So how do we isolate x? Isolate x means get x by itself. If you remember back to elementary, whenever we had a multiplication problem, division was always the way that we checked the problem, because division is the opposite of multiplication and multiplication is the opposite of division. Okay, same with adding and subtracting. So because of that, okay, we have 24 equals 30 times x. So what we can do is we can, to isolate x, we can divide by 30 right here, because division is the opposite of multiplication. And what I'm going to do is that's going to cancel out right there, because if you remember back to improper fractions, 30 over 30 will equal 1 whole. Okay, so that's why it cancels out. All right, and then whatever we do to this side, we're going to do to this side, and we're going to pull the 30 over, and because it just doesn't disappear. Okay, it doesn't just automatically disappear. We're bringing it over to the other side. So 2400 divided by 30 is now equaling x. Okay, and we have it all to one side and x is by itself now, so let's rewrite it. 2400 over 30 equals x, okay, because we got rid of this. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can reduce. If we take this top number and this bottom number and we reduce it by, we divide it by 10, it will give us a lower number. It's a common factor that they have involved here. So what we can do is we can cross out these two zeros here. Because if I divide the top number by 10, 2,400 divided by 10, it equals 240. And if I divide 30 by 10, it equals 3. So an easy way to do it is just to cross out these zeros, right? So now I have 240 divided by 3 equals x. Okay, and this is what I'm going to be solving for today. Okay, now our last step is to divide to figure out what x is. Remember, this line also means to divide. It's a fraction line, but it also means to divide. And right now, this right here is improper. It's an improper fraction. So we're going to divide it out. So here we go. 240 divided by 3. Okay? Remember, because this line means to divide. So 3 goes into 2 0 times, but 3 goes into 24 8 times. Okay, and 3 times 8 is 24. Then we're going to minus 0, bring down the 0, 0. We're not done yet. 3 times 0 is 0. Then we're going to subtract, which gives us 0. There's nothing else to bring down, so I'm done. That's how we know we're done. There's nothing else to bring down. So here we go. What is our answer? X equals 80. 80 what? We were looking for, if you remember, we were looking for the percent. What percent? So our answer is 80%. Okay? So hopefully that helps. I know that was kind of quick. The advantage of having the video is you can slow it down as needed. I'm going to revamp real quick. I'm just going to go back over just real quick. Remember, we were looking for the percent, so we plugged in x into the formula. We found the part, and we found the whole, and we plugged it in accordingly. After we plugged that in accordingly, we had our whole problem set up. We cross-multiplied, okay? And we got 2,400 equals 30x. Once we got 24 equals 30x, we had to get x by itself over here. And in order to do that, we did the opposite of multiplication. We divided each side. 30 divided by 30 equals 1, so it cancels out right here. And then we did 2,400 divided by 30. Now, you could have done 24 divided by 30 without crossing out your zeros. Okay, you could have. But it's a lot easier to do it 240 divided by 3 to give you the same answer. Okay, so then there's step 4 down at the bottom where we divided it out and it gave us 80%.